Okay, so as I mentioned, we're covering the 9-2 from Green Revolution to Gene Revolution. So uh, we talked about, we had a little bit of this um, discussed our, with the 9-1 and the GMOs, right? We talked about like genetic modification, stuff like that a little bit. So continuing from that, genetic engineering is crossbreeding genetically different plants and incorporating desired traits into crop lines and animals, producing transgenic breeds. Okay, so we've got so let's kind of look through the promise and the problems, and then we'll expand out just in our discussion off of this stuff. We'll kind of branch off. You guys can ask questions. We can discuss different parts of it or whatever. Um, so the promise is like to sort of like benefits of these type of things um, is producing plants with built-in resistances to insects and disease, uh, increase plant tolerance to environmental conditions, for example, drought or high salt levels, plants that are more able to withstand that type of stuff. Three, improve the nutritional value of commonly eaten crops. And four, produce pharmaceutical products in ordinary crop plants. So be able to produce plants that produce something with a pharmaceutical benefit that wasn't produced in those plants previously. Okay. Um, okay. So potential problems, drawbacks or potential drawbacks. The possibility for pests or bacteria developing resistances to toxin or other resistance in the plant. The ecological impact of the crops. So, for example, the potential that toxins spread to other areas and impacting organisms that were not the original target of the pesticide or resistance factor. Um, so that would be like, a lot of amphibians are really sensitive to um, pesticides and herbicides and stuff like frogs and things like that. So if that washes out of fields or something like that and it gets into waterways, um, they say that frogs are like a lot of times like you guys know the term canary in a coal mine. You guys know what that means? Like some people know, some people. Okay, so canary in a coal mine. What does that mean? A canary, yeah. They bring the bird down into the coal mine, and if it dies, and they know the fumes and the coal. Yeah, it's like it's kind of a twisted way to do it, but at the time, like they didn't really have a better way. Like the canaries were sensitive, were sensitive to the gases, the hazardous gases that potentially could be hit. So if they hit a pocket of something that was hazardous, um, the canary, because it's a lot smaller, whatever, it would die first. So then they knew, oh crap, we hit something, we got to get out before we die. So it's like kind of like an early warning system thing. So um, the frog is like a lot of times it's considered that because they're sensitive to a lot of different changes, like changes in pH or uh, you know toxins in the environment or whatever. So a lot of times you'll see like with amphibian populations and stuff, you'll start seeing negative side effects there first. So it's kind of like similar to that, like an early warning system. Like, okay, if we're seeing this, that means something bad is going on. We should probably pay attention to it before we start seeing effects in other animals, other populations, stuff like that. Um, the spread of disease resistant or disease or pest resistances in genes to weeds, thereby creating super weeds, which would be very difficult to kill or control. So Garrett was already talking about that occurring with the um, Roundup resistance and stuff. And then there's potential food safety issues for people eating transgenic foods. Um, not necessarily like, oh, it's GMO, it's a bad. It's like gonna poison you or something like that necessarily, but there are some possibilities for like triggering certain allergies or things from crossbred genes. Um, so somebody has a soy allergy or something like that, and if something was crossbred with genes from a soy plant, is a possibility that it could produce the protein or whatever it is that triggers that allergy, unknowingly. Um, or creating antibiotic resistance in a person, making it more difficult to treat the illnesses. So, uh, passing on, some of that, if it passes on like an antibiotic resistance or something like that, that could have a negative impact on a person's health potentially too. Um, so it's kind of a little, quick, quick and dirty for those things. Now, um, so I'm trying to think of how I want to break this down. Okay. Um, well, I guess we can just walk through and talk. And if you guys have any examples that you can think of or questions, let me know as we go through it. Like, so how many people in? Oh, go ahead, Garrett. Sorry.
I knew one for the first one.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, for sure.
So like in Hawaii with the mangoes, they had like that ringworm
Okay.
disease, and they had to like create something or like genetically modify it to like kill off the ring inside of the. It was like weird. It looked like actual ringworm inside of a mango.
Okay,
Something
cool.
like that.
I hadn't heard of that, but that's an
They have
awesome
pictures
example.
of the ring inside of a mango.
Um,
Ring man.
so,
What it was called. It was diseases in mango.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was in Hawaii.
I can't see what I'm spelling or not spelling.
I had like a picture.
Let's see.
Yeah, like some of them are like just black dots. Some of them actually look like real rings.
Okay. Or it might even be something where it starts out like that and then spreads as it
Yeah.
goes through it. But okay.
Till like whole mango growth. Or I don't know what you call mango.
Yeah, growth. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So, and then they were
Turning
so let's see. Oh, that's like an actual.
Oh.
That's an actual article, like a research article. It's like, um,
I thought they stopped it, but I don't know if they stopped it or not.
let's see. Care and maintenance. Oh, here we go. So there's like a leaf. It's not that, is it? Was it on the leaf or was it on the mango
It
themselves?
was on the mango, I thought.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I read something about it, but I don't. I'm trying to think if it was even a mango.
Oh, okay.
It might have been.
Was it a guava?
It might have been a guava.
Are you in guava? All right. Well, either way, I was looking to see if we could pull some pictures of it. But yeah, either way, no, that's a great example though of like
I thought it was.
of that. So along those lines, like we didn't talk about the Irish potato famine in here, did we? We mention it? Okay. So like you guys know about that from history, I'm assuming, right? The whole thing. Um, do you guys know why it was such an impactful thing? Like,
Because
yeah,
like only one type of potatoes, and then that's how the disease spread.
yeah. So it was like, um, well, first, like potatoes were a huge portion of their food base and diet, right? Like so that part of it. But the idea that there was only like a couple of different varieties, and so the disease that attacked them like was wiping them out. And since there wasn't a lot of genetic diversity and variety, like the all like they were all sort of susceptible to it, so they all got wiped out. Um, whereas if they would have bred like other, if they would have had like a wider genetic diversity and like other lines bred in and stuff, then the likelihood that some of them would have been able to resist the disease, and therefore the impact wouldn't have been as severe. Uh, that's kind of this idea. So like um, genetic engineering is taking that a step further, even like bringing in some of those things to create um, breeds or variants or however you want to say it that can resist those. Another one that I know about, I don't know how many people in here, like your parents have like a garden or some amount, like just show a hand real quick. I don't see. Okay, so about 2/3 or whatever. So there's this thing called um, uh, it's basically like tomato wilting disease.
Oh.
Um, so uh, so they get this like this fungal wilt in them, and you can see it's basically it it it's a fungal disease, and it attacks the plant, and the plant kind of, it looks like it needs water basically, but it's a disease on it, and it dries up and kills all the leaves in the plant, and it happens usually before the tomatoes are even like really close to being ripe. So essentially, I mean, it kills off the plant, and then and you also don't get the, it's not like it dies after the tomatoes are really ready. So they actually bred variants of tomatoes, and you can go now into when you buy like if you buy like the tomato, like a lot of people buy them already started the plant, and but you can buy ones that are variants that are uh, this like fungal disease resistant, so able to fight it off and not come down with it as easily. Yeah.
Is that like fungal disease kind of in a way like transfer it into the fruit or no? Or
Say that again.
like does the disease kind of like transfer itself
Into
like,
the
into the vegetable itself too, or is it just
no, it's mainly on the plant itself. But it can transfer from like touch, like if you touch one plant that has into another plant, it can transfer like that, um, or through dirt that has the fungal spores and stuff in it, or if it's close enough, like airborne transfer too and stuff. But like you wouldn't get sick from like eating it or anything, or like it wouldn't transfer within it like that. There potentially could be spores on the outside if you don't wash it, maybe, but for the most part, no, it's not going to do that. But typically, the like on these, like the plant will die before the fruit, before it can even get close to being ready. And then usually, what happens is it's like it's weird because like as fruit will ripen as like carbohydrates like break down and turn into like sugars, whatever, type of things. But like so like on its way to rotting, sort of. But like a lot of these will go just from and I don't know if it has to do with the development of it or whatever, but basically just from like unripened, like not ready to like rotting. Like it doesn't really. It's not like you can leave it there and then it ripens and becomes okay. Like it really, like there might be some that are on the edge that can do that, but a lot of it just will just like really like go green to rotting, or insects will attack it or something like that too. So, but yeah, you can buy plants now that have genetic resistances to this. So that's one like examples of benefits. So let me see how much time do we have left? What time do we get out of here? 35. Okay, I don't want to start. Okay, well let's just keep. Um, Increasing plant tolerance to environmental conditions, um, basically allowing plants to withstand, you know, um, different, like a wider range of factors. Um, so I want to check. Let's see. Okay. So we talked about the superweed, right? So Garrett, are they? I don't know if you know this or not, but Um, are they like are they like other weeds that are now able to move into the area that are better resistant, or is it actually weeds that previously it was killing, but now are developing a resistance of their own to it?
So
Like,
there's some weeds that like there's always some weeds that I never worked on.
right, that resisted it
Weeds and
better.
everything.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Like they're called horse weeds.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're really
Okay.
strong.
Yep.
They're stout. You gotta get a knife to pull them out, or they'll never come out.
Yeah, like really thick, like almost. It's like almost
Yeah.
like a shrub, like the really thick stems and.
You try to pull them out, you can't.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but like there are some of the like weeds that you like we've never seen. Like once you spray pesticides, starting to pop back up from like olden ages, like
Okay.
from like when they're before
No.
pesticide,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like Roundup Ready and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Before they couldn't spray that or just kill all the things. There's like weeds starting to like come back up
Sure.
through the stuff. I don't really.
So go ahead.
It has like there's like a weed with like a wavy leaf on it.
Okay.
And I know that
Is one of them?
became resistant, and you gotta go out
Okay.
and pull those.
So interestingly enough, like what he's describing is a situation where um at some point in time, some of these weeds were outcompeted by other weeds.
Mhm.
Like for some reason or another, they didn't grow as fast, they didn't gather nutrients or water as efficiently, whatever it is, they were outcompeted or at least like held in check by these other weeds, right? And so because it's kind of a not only are they battling with the crops and the farmers trying to kill them off to protect the crops, but they're also battling with each other for space, sunlight, food, all that kind of stuff, right? Um, and so that's one thing to keep in check. So when the Roundup is like now wiping out some of these other weeds, like some of these other ones that might have uh, sort of been fighting for some of those things like nutrients and space and all that kind of stuff are now it's like almost like clearing the path for some of them if they can survive the Roundup or whatever, and now they become more successful potentially than from that. So yeah.
I know I've seen a lot more of it's like a fuzzy weed. We call it. This is not the right name for it, but we call it Indian tobacco.
Okay.
It's like a fuzzy leaf, and I don't know.
Is it now?
It's.
Is it different from? Do you know what lamb's ear is?
I think it's.
Is it the same or is it?
I think it's I think Indian tobacco farmers just call it that because lamb's ear is like. They just don't want to say that fancy word, so they say Indian tobacco.
Oh, okay. So you think it's the same thing?
I think it's the same thing.
Okay.
It's like the weeds that come up, but
Uh-huh.
those used to be like Roundup killed, but
Uh-huh.
now I see them all the time in the field.
Okay.
Popping up, like
Yeah.
every
Okay.
couple of years.
So that's an example of the plant itself developing some sort of a resistance to it or whatever. Interesting. Okay. Um. Yeah. So, and so if you think about it, like this is it's a pretty big deal when you're talking about well, one, food supply for forever. I mean, you know, for the globe, it's, global food supply one way or the other, whether it's feedstock or food for humans, feed crop. I mean, but so you're talking about impacting that, but also like the economics. We'll talk even more about the economics of this stuff later, but like um, the number one export, the number one export for the United States is agricultural, is agriculture, like feed, um, you know, soy, corn. So like that's the number one money maker that we export that we sell to other countries. So like I know a lot of people think of it like, oh, like it's just farming, like raising crop. Not that it's not important, but like it's like just kind of like, oh, it's there. It's like it just you know what I mean? Like no, it's like it's super important to us and our economy and the stability of our economy and all kinds of stuff like that. So these things having stuff like the creeks, like that's um, it's a big business and it can have big impacts too and stuff. So um, uh, let me see what else. So and then number one is similar to that. It's more on the pest version of it, like where pests can build up tolerances to pesticides or other things, and then become a bigger problem if they become resistant to chemical pesticides and things along those lines. So, all right, we're getting close. Let me maybe.